Hey guys, this is IX with RolloutReviews, bringing you another Bionicle review. This time it is set number 8566, Onua Nuva. This set was released in 2002 and contains 41 pieces. Onua Nuva looks very different from his predecessor. He's got much more armor, a very different mask, very different tools, and a much different feel as a set overall. Onua's differences don't end there. He's also fairly differently constructed from the rest of the Toa Nuva, which is refreshing to see. He does have the extra pieces in the bottom of his feet, just like Gali and Kopaka, but his hips are attached in the sideways orientation, making them much more broad. Unfortunately, these ball joints here are fairly loose on mine. This color of plastic doesn't age well when it comes to connections. Now, his neck attaches in a very similar way to the original Onua with this connector piece, but instead of attaching with a standard axle, it attaches with a pin axle to the Nuva armor, meaning there's actually a rotation here. So you can tilt Onua's head from side to side, giving him much more expression than any of the other Toa. His arms are interesting. They used Bohrok limbs, which is a strange choice. They look alright, but it makes his arms look very, very stubby. He holds his weapons in the same way that Liwa Nuva holds his katanas, but for no particular reason, just because the instructions tell you to place them that way. His weapons are super interesting looking as well. They're quake breakers, essentially treads on a stick. He uses these kind of as subterranean chainsaws to drill through the earth. Whatever the case, they're very high concept. Onua now wears the Kanohi Pakari Nuva. This allows its user to increase their physical strength like never before. It also allows the user to borrow this power to nearby Toa allies. This, once again, looks nothing like the original Pakari. I'm gonna say it, there are zero similarities between these two masks. I suppose it's not a bad looking mask though. It does have a couple hints of that organic look that I dislike, but overall, I suppose it looks pretty cool. It kind of has a mustache and sort of a beard towards the bottom, as well as angry-looking eyebrows. When you attach this to Onua, his hunched position, along with his more bulky armor, definitely makes Onua feel a lot more brutish than ever before. Onua's gear function works the same way as all of the other Toa Nuva. This arm here is locked into place via this extra gear towards the bottom here. This arm is attached via a black pin axle, and it can freely swing. Now, if you would like to move this arm at the shoulder, all you need to do is slide this in, bring it forward to the position you'd like, and slide this back to lock it into place. If you'd like to activate the gear function entirely, you just need to slide this forward and leave it there, and then swing away. Now, if you'd like to give Onua a double gear function, all you need to do is pull out the black pin axle here and replace it with this gear and this axle. Then place the black pin axle back here. Replace the arm, and now Onua can swing both of his quake breakers. Once again, those hips are definitely a problem. This guy's dual weapon functionality works under a similar concept to Gali's and Kopaka's. Basically, you remove these pins here, and then place his quake breakers in the gaps in the bottom of his feet before locking them back into place, like this. Do the same over here. And this gives Onua kind of tread skates. In some of the promotional artwork, he uses these to traverse rocky cliffs and caves, and honestly, they look pretty silly. These are probably the least practical Nuva tools, in my opinion. Like with all of the other Toa Nuva, I found a way for Onua to store his weapons on his person without the use of any extraneous pieces. For his Quake Breakers, you're going to take the pieces from his feet here and plug that stud into the top pinhole there. You're going to do the opposite on the other side. Then, these axles here will peg into the axle holes on the connectors at his hips. Just like this. This will store the Quake Breakers on his back quite nicely, I think. I played around with the idea of mounting them on his hips like I did Kopaka's swords, but his broadened hips here definitely get in the way and hinder things. So in the end, I think this is definitely the best option. Onua Nuva has his ups and has his downs. I definitely feel that as a set, he is much better than the original Onua just because of his added features and playability. As for his design, I'm not a big fan of his Quake Breakers conceptually. I think they're pretty ridiculous, definitely my least favorite Nuva weapons. His mask is alright, and I think that as far as he's constructed, he does some really interesting things, even to the point where it gives him much more neck articulation than the norm, so that's definitely cool. In the end, however, I'm really let down by the fact that his legs have such weak joints in them. It's probably just on mine, I can't be sure, but it definitely makes playing with this figure kind of a chore. So that is about it, guys, and this is IX RolloutIX, signing off.